Now that we've looked at JSON and AJAX, let's go ahead and complete Lab 2. So Lab 2 asks you to create a simple calculator program that runs in a single page application using a jQuery dialog and AJAX to communicate with the backend. So we could actually do all of this just using JavaScript and not use PHP at all. But that's not going to work later on when we need to talk to the database. So the idea is that JavaScript is going to talk to PHP using AJAX, and then PHP is going to talk to MySQL, and then PHP is going to return the results to JavaScript, and JavaScript will display whatever content needs to be displayed. So in order to get that communication between JavaScript and PHP right, we're going to go ahead and just do that part here, even though we're not actually going to be talking to the database just yet. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to put all of this in my share project, but even though it's not really part of our image share, but I want to go ahead and use jQuery UI, and I already have that installed here. So what I'm going to do is structure my project properly. So the first thing I want to do is under Assets, I want to have an Includes folder. So new directory includes. And that's where I'm going to put my CSS and JavaScript files that get included from the PHP files. And so the first thing I'm going to do is create a new PHP file, and I'm going to call this calculator.css.php. So it's going to be a PHP file, but it's going to contain CSS code. And then I'm also going to do the same for JavaScript. So I'm going to create a new PHP file called calculator.js.php. Okay, so these are going to be the files that my calculator programmer is going to include. And I need to set the content types for these correctly. So for calculator.css.php, I'm going to set header is going to be content-type : text/CSS. And then for calculator.js, I'm going to add header content-type text/JavaScript. So now my main calculator page, that's going to be public facing, so people are going to load that directly. So it's going to go right in the share folder. So we'll create a new PHP file called calculator.php. And let's go ahead and close this off for now and create some HTML using Emmet. So this is going to be my Ohm's law calculator. And let's start including some of this stuff. So we're going to need jQuery UI, so we're going to need jQuery as well. So let's start by including that. So script source equals assets, and then jQuery UI external jQuery.js. So that's jQuery, and then we're going to need jQuery UI assets jQuery UI jQuery UI.js, and I'm going to use the development version rather than the minified version. And then I also need the style sheet for jQuery. So that's in assets jQuery UI, and then jQuery UI.css. And then I'm going to go ahead and include my calculator includes. So first the JavaScript. So that's in assets includes calculator.js.php. And then my calculator style sheet. includes calculator.css.php. All right, so that's all the includes. Let's go ahead and run a quick little test. So I'm just going to create a div box with an ID of calculator. And I'm going to, let's just say hello world in here for testing. And then I'll add a script tag to turn this thing on. And this will ultimately end up in my calculator.js, but for now, I'm just going to put it here. So this is some code that's going to get run when the page is finished loading. And what it's going to do is it's going to get that calculator div, and it's going to make a dialog out of it. So that should be it for testing. Let's go ahead and see if this is working. So we're going to go to share calculator.php, and we have our dialog with hello world. So everything seems to be loaded correctly.